Anyway, I watched the video. Gavin Verhey, brother of Jason, perhaps. And he was talking about, he said there's going to be, he implied that there could be a lot of unbans in Commander. And he explicitly said one card is going to be unbanned, guaranteed. He said it to the camera. You don't even play Magic, but you like listening to my explanations. Well, good, I'm going to explain myself then. I have some non-Magic players, so I'll explain what it is that is making these cards go here. But, you know, we've done something like this in the past. Why is this banned? Should they unban it? But those conversations were much more cloud talk, right? Because now, they said they're really going to do it. And that's different. CJ Busta, thanks for the tier 1. Deceive the Thief. Good evening, Heywoah. What's the tier list about? I'm explaining it, but I'm meandering. Apologies. You watched my Commander Bracket 4 video. Good stuff. Sad there are other people seem to not care. I mean, I don't think there's like... It seems like me and Brian Kibler are the only two people who talk about Bracket 4 or High Power Commander. Most people seem to have two opinions about Bracket 4/High Power Commander, and they're split in twain. Half of the people don't like Bracket 4 and don't play in it because they are Bracket 1, 2, or 3, and they view Bracket 4 players as pub stompers. And the other half of the people are CEDH players, and they view Bracket 4 players as kids who think their decks are good and dare to sometimes even try to play CEDH with them and get smashed. The classic, if you're not sure if your deck is a 4 or a 5, it's a 4, kid. You know, that meme, right? But I assure you, there's dozens of us. There's lots of people who play High Power Commander. And both of these sides are wrong. And so I wanted to get the word out. Not too many people were talking from that perspective. In fact, 2 of the people on the Rules Council, I watched an interview. They were like, very dismissive of Bracket 4 in a very salty way. And they seemed to think that Bracket 4 people were simply pub stompers who were trying to stomp the lower brackets. That's ridiculous. We have our own bracket. Like, pub stomping happens when you are playing in the wrong bracket, right? For one reason or another. Anyway. Nice pentakill. You getting back into MTG after 5 years, seeing the brackets for the first time? Not the greatest. Well, I was kind of impressed with them. But that's because I saw what they started with 3 months ago, and it was a lot worse than the brackets. You know the way in which people talk about Bracket 1 in that dismissive, slightly annoyed tone? Like no one plays Bracket 1, it's 13 content creators trying to be silly, and then a bunch of people who are the lowest information voters in all of Magic who won't even hear about what brackets are. You know, they started the game 2 weeks ago or whatever. You almost can't build a Bracket 1 deck if you tried because they're so bad or whatever. Like, why do we even need a bracket for this? I don't necessarily disagree with all of that even. I'm just saying that's the same tone they're talking about my bracket in as well. So I guess I know how it feels now. Ahem. Anyway, point is, thanks for watching the video. I spent some amount of time and effort writing it. You're talking about the choices for the powerhouse cards. Oh, okay, I see. You're not talking about the bracket philosophy. You're talking about simply what is defined as a game changer. Yeah. A third of them are very correct. A third of them are clearly wrong. And a third of them, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on. overall, that was better than I was expecting, to be perfectly honest. All I can do is give my feedback, right? And my feedback is kind of useless, or at least it's not directly applicable to me, because I play in the bracket that doesn't care how many game changers you play with anyway. And so really my feedback about the game changers is as a concerned outsider, pretending to care about bracket 1, 2, and to a lesser degree 3. I have some bracket 3 commander decks. I got 2 of them maybe. So there's that. Anyway, Gavin said they're unbanning a bunch of cards. He even directly said that Coalition Victory was one of them. It just is. That's one of them. Enhance. All right. He said, yeah, Coalition Victory is one of them. He's like, we're going to unban this card. We're going to put it on the game changer list. No one's going to care. And at that point, I'm like, ooh, Coalition Victory. Just unbanning it. A lot of the cards on this list are kind of similar to some cards that are on the game changer list or not even on there at all. They might be trying to make some big moves. Which ones could they unban? Now that we know they're actually going to do it, before, whenever anyone would talk about what they should unban, what they could unban, it was really just talking to talk, because when Sheldon ran the place, he did it in a very conservative manner. And it was good for the format, actually. It was part of the reason why it succeeded so well. Because he was really conservative with the managing the thing. But it meant that hardly anything ever got changed. So if you're talking about unbanning stuff, it was just like talking. But now they seem like they're going to do it. So here we are. Coalition Victory, I just said the card, and some people don't even play Magic here. Coalition Victory, it costs 8. 8 mana is a lot. In constructed 1v1 competitive formats, 4 mana is a lot. In Commander, you know, it's a casual format. The games are supposed to go long. You're supposed to play the big, splashy, bad cards with huge effects that you're not allowed to play because they're not good enough in constructed. It's a format where you're supposed to cast big old cards like that, and so, you know, 8 mana, it's not really too big of a deal in Commander. You can get there, especially if it's in green, which it is. This card says you win the game if you have a land of each type and a creature of each color. And if you have a 5-color creature, that counts. So if you have a 5-color deck, and really any 5 lands, basically, and your commander out, you can just pay 8 and win the game. Now, what can you do to stop that? Well, you can counter it, because you can counter just about anything, but that's not a satisfying enough answer if the only way to stop it is countering it. That's not good enough. That's still potentially super oppressive, because there's only one color that realistically has counter spells, right? Is one of the reasons why, you know, Farewell, Cyclonic Rift, Teferi's Protection, cards like this are so complained about, is because for those cards, for the most part, just about all you can do is counter it. But there is more counterplay through Coalition Victory than just countering it. You can kill the creature in response. The spell has to resolve. It's a sorcery, right? You can Swords to Plowshare as their commander. And then when Coalition Victory resolves, nothing happens, right? You can potentially blow up one of their lands, although that's a worse answer, you know. Mostly it's like creature removal at instant speed, which you absolutely should be playing with starting at bracket 2. Bracket 1, I can't tell you how to play, but and you know, you have it, maybe you have it, maybe you don't have it, whatever. I think the people who don't like Coalition Victory, their argument is usually coming from the side of it's an unsatisfying way to win. You cast this one stupid card, and because you're in a 5-color deck, you simply win, the game's over. It's very unsatisfying. is the argument I hear a lot. I don't care at all about that argument. I give it 0 good argument points. Good argument brownie points, I give it 0 out of 100. I don't care if you think it's an unsatisfying ending. That's your opinion. I think the way you win is unsatisfying. How do you like that, hotshot? You know, so it's kind of like that. Is this going to change the metagame of bracket 3, bracket 4 when it gets unbanned? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think a shitload of 5-color decks are just going to put this card in and win with it sometimes. Okay, you know, and for a lot of man hours of a lot of commander games, a 5-color deck is going to have a Coalition Victory stranded in its hand for like an hour and a half without the ability to play it for some reason, and it's just going to sit there. So, and sometimes they'll win with it. Fine. I'm actually very excited to hear that Coalition Victory is getting unbanned because it means a bunch of other stuff might be too. Long story short, I agree. I'm going to get one. I'm going to put it in Garth, and sometimes I'm going to win with it. And people are going to say that's unsatisfying, and I'll be like, you're unsatisfying. It's going to be great. If it's not satisfying, you don't play it. If it's unsatisfying for others, yeah. Yeah, now let's be clear, there's a difference between whether or not it's unsatisfying is a matter of opinion, that sentence, and the next sentence, everyone in the world hates this except me, but I'm going to say that that's a matter of opinion, and now that's like a condom for whatever I'm going to do, right? It's a protection. Well, it's a matter of opinion whether you like Thieves' Auction or not. Nope. You're the only one in the world who likes it. Everyone else hates it, and you. That's no longer an opinion now, right? So there is that, right? So we can't fall into that trap. Sometimes games just drag ass. You don't mind if this cheeses a game every so often. Games gotta end sometime. And games gotta end somehow. Too early is real bad. But I would rather a game end after an hour and a half than 3.5 hours. A game can go too long as well. Let's get another game in before I gotta drive home. You know?
Good job, King.
D-Monk, thanks for the tier 1 46er. TYVM for the long tier 1. Appreciate it. Seems like a niche win con in the right 5-color deck, but there's so much that has to go right. May not even be much of a game changer. Kind of like Approach of the Second Sun. Yeah, Approach is a great win con for the most...
Good job, King.
Approach is a great win con for the most, like... leave me alone and let me build my SimCity castle and draw my whole deck. Blue-white style kind of deck, you know? It's a fine win con. You gotta win somehow. Yeah. I think I just about exactly agree with Burglar. I would consider Coalition Victory just another Approach of the Second Sun. Except this one's for 5-color decks that have a commander with 5 colors. And Approach is for decks that like to draw 20 cards and counter 17 spells. Backup Joda. Ben Zell, thanks for the tier 1 for 7 months. What'd you miss? Not much. We're talking about Coalition Victory. Gavin Verhey said he's going to unban it. And apparently, I'm editorializing a little here, a bunch of other cards. And so unlike the other times we talked about what could get unbanned, they might actually do it this time. And they seem to think that the Game Changer system is going to give them cover to unban perhaps even cards that are really maybe problematic, but just play them only in bracket 4 and it's fine. So anyway, we got a lot of wiggle room here. I've went ahead and put all the Moxen and the Power 9 and Black Lotus up here. Because no shot. Right. What else is no shot? They said literally never on this card. What else is a no-shotter? I guess I should explain these. At least a little bit. Black Lotus, it costs nothing and gives you 3 mana, and it goes to the graveyard, and it's an artifact, and there's synergies for that. It's like the best card ever. It would go in every deck. It's $20,000 or something like that. It's never getting unbanned. Same with all the Moxen. They cost 0, and they add a mana. Too good. Too good, and would make 5 color too good, even if everybody just got one of these. They just banned Mana Crypt. And they only didn't ban Soul Ring because it's like the Mickey Mouse Chuck E. Cheese of the format. It's the mascot. And if you get one pass, essentially everyone gets one game changer, technically. Even bracket 1 and 2. Everybody gets one game changer, it's just automatically Soul Ring. That's, I suppose, a way of thinking about it. And so ain't no way they're getting rid of these, or the Dexterity cards, or Time Walk, which is take an extra turn for 2 mana. The going rate for this effect, by the way, is 5. And this costs 2. So that's never happening. Time Vault is, along with Voltaic Key, is infinite turns combo for 3 colorless mana, goes in literally everything, never getting unbanned. Target player draws 3 cards, instant speed for 1 blue. They want people to play non-blue decks ever, and so this is going to stay banned. It's part of the Power 9. Just no chance. This is the best land ever printed-ish. You know, you could say Workshop maybe, or Bazaar Baghdad maybe, or whatever, what have you. But it adds a blue for each artifact you control. And if you thought Guy's Cradle was broken, and it is, ain't got nothing on Tolarian Academy. Won't be unbanned. Shahrazad creates a sub-game, and you play a sub-game, an entire-ass game of Magic, and then whoever wins that game, whoever loses the sub-game loses half their life, and then you continue playing the real game. And within the sub-game, you can cast a Shahrazad to play another sub-game, and you have to keep track of these. No. That's never happening. It will be banned forever, and rightfully so. Alatak, thanks for the Prime for 14 months. I appreciate it. What's the land that bounces legendaries? Caracas. And that's a no-shot, just because of the nature of the format. I like Caracas. It's a land I particularly like. It would be miserable in Commander. Although I sure would like to use it to return my own commander to my hand at instant speed, but it would be too miserable to play with. You would be kind of fine with every card being unbanned in no shot except Shahrazad, yeah. It's the only card here that is actually just not fun at all. There's no way to make it fun, I think. I was in a tournament in 2001 I was in a tournament in 2005, I think, maybe. It was right after Mirrodin came out, whenever that was. I was in a no-ban list tournament in Arizona. And it was a true no-ban list, as in you could, if you had 4 Black Lotuses, you could put 4 Black Lotuses in your deck. And there was a guy playing 4 Shahrazad in that tournament. And he was putting them on Isochron Scepter. And it was a burn deck. Because the way you play, if you actually play on, maybe it wasn't Isochron Scepter, maybe it was the other one that plays it every upkeep, whatever that artifact is, because it's a sorcery. Anyway, if you're actually playing against someone using Shahrazad in real life, what you do is you concede the sub-game immediately and just take 10 damage. That's how you're supposed to play against it. The wisdom, I guess. And so he was playing a red-white burn deck, and Shahrazad was just a 10 damage for 2 mana spell. And if you actually played the sub-game, you had a decent shot of winning because your opponent lost half of their deck, because the rest of their cards are still in the main game, and you at least have a burn deck. Anyway, he didn't do too well in the tournament, but I did play against it, so I have I have tournament experience against someone playing 4 Shahrazad. Lutri, it's the 101st free card. It doesn't even... Companions don't take up a deck list slot. So it's just a 101st card for free. Anyone in blue-red gets a free spell copy with flash. It's actually a really good creature. People play with that 3 mana red flash copy target instant or sorcery guy. Like, they play with that card. Card's good. It's the same thing. Yeah. This one's never coming off, and they've said as much. They were very serious. They hate this card. It's the 101st card for free in every single blue-red deck, no matter what. Kind of a... almost like a wishboard sideboard kind of thing. What other can we... Yeah, alright. Caracas, we can safely put it on the no-shot. This one is a legendary land, taps for a white. Tap it to return target legendary creature to its owner's hand. And the whole format is built around legendary creatures being your commander. And so this just interacts poorly with the nature of the format, and so it has no shot. The only good subgame card is the countdown is at 1, because the subgame, your life total starts at 1. It's still a massive pain in the ass to perform. Must-have cards are usually not a ton of fun. They're very serious about auto-includes. They don't like those. They're on record saying that Arcane Signet they consider that a design mistake. Arcane Signet. And I disagree, but I understand their reasoning very well. Their reasoning is, just looking at the numbers, every commander deck, it's not 100 cards. Every commander deck, it's 99, because you have your commander. And so you have 99 cards to choose from to be creative with after you've chosen your commander. But actually not really. Every commander deck, you have 97 cards to choose from. And after they made Arcane Signet, you have 96 cards to choose from. Because you always put in Command Tower, you always put in Soul Ring, and you always put in Arcane Signet. And so they've essentially shrunk the amount of creativity you have by 3 cards. And if they keep doing that, eventually, you could get to a really problematic place. Now, I happen to disagree, because I don't play Arcane Signet. I play it in 1 deck. 2 of my decks have Soul Ring and 2 don't. One of my decks doesn't even have a Command Tower in it, because a basic forest is better, unironically. But I get where they're coming from. I just think Arcane Signet is the same as all the talismans and the signets and Felwar Stone and whatever. And if you're not in green, you have shit for options for ramp on 2. And so I consider it more of a every other color except green gets to play catch up with these stupid artifacts. More than removing people's freedom of choice. That's neither here nor there. You feel there's a difference between the Arcane Signet being an auto-include versus Deflecting Swat being an auto-include. There's 2 differences. One is Arcane Signet's colorless. And so it reduces the average deck size by 1 in every color except green. Deflecting Swat only hurts red decks. And so, depending on how you want to think of that, Arcane Signet is either a bigger problem because it affects 4 colors, or it's not as big of a problem because Deflecting Swat actually does something. And Arcane Signet is a ramp card you play on 2. So that you can, like, play Commander, because Commander involves paying 2 mana on turn 2 to get some ramp out, no matter what you're doing, basically. And so the impact of the card is like 0, it's just something you do to play Commander. Whereas Deflecting Swat, being an auto-include, now every red deck you play against, you're like, ooh, is he gonna redirect this? The card actually does something. So I agree with half of your text there, Monk. Why would you need Command Tower when you play the greatest commander ever? Urabrask flip through. Anyway, good discussion. What else is guaranteed? Just never. That would be Fast Bond. Fast Bond costs 1 green. It's an enchantment. You can make as many land drops on your turn as you damn well please. Normally you get 1. The average green deck probably gets 2. You can just keep playing lands off the top of your library, out of your hand, out of your graveyard with a Crucible. You just keep doing that until you die. It deals you 1 damage every time. Except now you have 40 life instead of 20. Card's positively absurd. And in the lower brackets, green is crazy enough, right? For how few game changers green has, you could say that it's kind of oppressive at lower tables. Even mid tables, it's just really, really good to generically barf lands onto the table and draw a bunch of cards. But that's just good. Simic kills itself over a 2-hour turn, yeah. It's fun to see somebody hit the land Soul Ring Arcane Signet turn 1. Yeah, the hot start. And suddenly you're playing 3 opponents instead of 3 players. It's the green, yeah. It's the green machine. What else is never getting unbanned? It's balance. I've played Fast Bond, and I played against Fast Bond. It's as good as you think. It has the burgeoning problem a little bit where you just run out of lands, you know? But that's why you play them off the top of your library. That's why you play fetch lands from your graveyard. You just absolutely burn through lands. And then return 2 of them to Gush and keep going. Anyway, it's about as absurd as you would think. I've also played against Balance a lot in 93-94 format. Generally Balance is a Wrath of God plus destroy 1 land plus discard a card. It's not like Death Cloud for 8 or something like that. Unless you're doing something goofy with it. Generally, it's a Wrath of God plus. And you try to dump your hand. Or at least get your hand at parity or less than your opponent before you cast it. But due to the nature of the format, they don't like land destruction. They don't like mana denial. And I think Balance is a little too poisonous, even for what they're trying to do in high power. And keep in mind that if something gets unbanned, it goes on the game changer list, and hence could be put into bracket 3 decks. And you could play Balance in CEDH. It wouldn't be a problem. In bracket 3, no shot. Let's not talk about the color pie being warped. We'll be here all night. We'll be here all night anyway. You can talk about it if you want. I'll get into it if it's naturally getting into it-able. Tinker costs 3 splashable, sack an artifact, search for any artifact, put it on the battlefield. They have printed artifacts too good to be able to allow something like this to be okay. You know, back in my day, you would put a memory jar out and you'd like it, and it was real good. And then later on, they started putting Time Vault out with it. They started putting Blightsteel Colossus eventually after a long time, and this and that and the other thing. They're just not going to stop creating really good artifacts that cost $1 million. And so this guy, no shot, stays on. I feel like you can't cry about land destruction in tier 4. I think you can. Because it's still casual commander, even in bracket 4. Yeah, bracket 4 doesn't want to play against Armageddon either. Which is why I disagree so much with their framing of bracket 4 on their bracket sheet. Did you note there's like a color at the very top of it, and it's like casual is the yellow, and then it turns to orange when it gets competitive, and it starts turning orange when you get to 4. Completely disagree. It's a socially focused casual format all the way up till the wall of Westeros in front of CEDH. Nobody in 4 wants to play against the saltiest cards list either, unless it's with their friends who are all cool with it, but maybe that's just my opinion. I think there's an impression that high-power players like playing with the most frustratingly annoying cards ever, but I disagree. They're still casual people playing a casual format. Ahem. Anyway, we're running out of no shots. Oh, channel. Okay. Speaking of green, channel, no shot. This costs 2 green. Pay when it resolves. Pay X life. Gain X mana in your mana pool. Just 1 for 1. Pay X life. You have 40 to start with in Commander. All right, green, channel, pay 30. Get 30 colorless. No shot. They didn't... Some of the stuff that they printed at the very beginning, they didn't quite know what they were doing. But I want to channel Fireball. I have channel Fireball. This shit's fun. I have in my life, in real life, played channel Fireball in tournaments and have won turn 1 doing it. A few times, 3 or 4 times about. I built a 93-94 deck just to do that because you have to. It's channel Fireball. You have the opportunity, you got to do it. That classic Tega, Black Lotus, channel Fireball, got him. The dream, living the dream. Everything else in the deck was land destruction and lightning bolts and chain lightnings and stuff. What do you mean you can't do channel plus Torment of Hailfire? Do you not believe in fun? Yeah. It must have been fun. It was fun, but the 93-94 tournaments were so chill and laid back that when I did it, my opponent asked me to keep the cards on the playmat and took a picture of it to put it on like their website. It was at a brewery. I want to say I got 4th or something in the tournament. Like I didn't end up winning it or anything, but it was just like cool shit like that was happening and everybody was in on the nostalgia of it. That's like the Eternal Central guys from Chicago. Jason Jaco and stuff like that. Good chaps. It's where I got my Chaos Orb from. I was at a whiskey bar with him. And he was trying to get me into 93-94, and I did, and he signed a Chaos Orb from Collector's Edition, and he's like, I will give this to you if you play. Okay? And then I want to say, actually, I consider us even, to be honest, because he gave me a Collector's Edition Chaos Orb, and I lost to him in top 3 of Star City games. He destroyed me. I mulliganed to Oblivion 2 games in a row, and it was over. He also drew really poorly. It took him forever to win. But anyway, so he stole my trophy from Star City Open. So it was the least he could do to give me a Chaos Orb. Nice guy. Have we explained why Chaos Orb is 200% no shot? Because it's a Dexterity card. Same with Falling Star here. These cards require that you do something fun. You hold it above the table and you have to flip it. It has to flip an entire 360 degrees and then land on a card, and then that card is destroyed. But they've determined that some people don't have arms, but they still want to play Magic. And just because you don't have any arms doesn't mean you shouldn't be allowed to play Magic. And so cards that require you to have arms are banned. which I'm sad about. And if I ever ended up playing against somebody without arms, and they had a Chaos Orb, I would let them do it. I would just let it destroy that card. I say, you know what? You got hit by a car or something. Tough luck. Tell you what. I'm going to consider you to have succeeded at all those flips, and we call it even. Next up. Anyway, and Falling Star does the same thing. It's worse. Any other no shots? Trade Secrets, no shot. No shot. This one came out a long time later, Onslaught versus Alpha Beta, right? Trade Secrets. This one is another Caracas. Another interacts poorly with the nature of the format. What this card does is target opponent draws 2 cards, okay? Then you draw 4 cards if you want. Then your opponent can repeat this process of him drawing 2 and you drawing 4 as many times as that opponent wants. So what is the problem with Trade Secrets in a multiplayer 4-person game? Where you and one chosen opponent get to draw essentially infinite cards, however many you want. The problem is, it's multiplayer. And so 2 players at the table instantly lose the game. The other 2 draw 30. And at an event or something, the possibility of collusion is just a bit too high. We got to keep Trade Secrets in the no-shot list. Collusion is already a huge, insurmountable problem in Commander tournaments because the nature of Commander doesn't work as a tournament for a variety of reasons. But they do it anyway because the people want it. Anyway, no shot. I think we're running out of no shots. Is there even one more no shot? This thing. When it... What is this? Limited resources. When it enters, each player chooses 5 lands and sacrifices the rest. As long as there are 10 or more lands on the battlefield, no one can play lands. So all 4 people have 5 lands, and no one can play land for the rest of the game. I don't know if this is a no shot or not. In the past, I would have said no shot. It interacts poorly with the nature of the format. But I don't know how much...
Good job, King.
I don't know how much they want bracket 4 players to want to kill themselves, though. So my certainty is wavering here. You know. I think if you can play Armageddon and you can play Ravages of War, and you can play Thieves' Auction, and you can play the saltiest cards, this shit's miserable, but that's what they seem to want bracket 4 players to have to deal with. Then again, you would be playing this in bracket 3, and we have to protect those people, right? Yeah, I'm going to say no shot, but there's a little bit of copium there with this no shot call here. Some Norwegian dude, thanks for the tier 3. That's a massive tier for a very long streak. I appreciate it. Thanks for liking my stuff. Some Norwegian dude, I appreciate it. Lumra plus this in Commander. Oh, there's combos. Yeah, there's some stuff. Will they ever have a, if you play X color, go to Detroit card? What do you mean? Yeah, you could be very evil. You can be pretty evil in Magic. The rules allow you to. The social contract that reins people in. The next most no-shot is probably Library of Alexandria. This is a $1,000 land or something. It's not legendary. It adds a colorless mana. Or you can tap it to draw 1 card. If you have exactly 7 cards in hand. So it's a land. draws you a card by simply tapping. It's not like tap +1. It's just tap it, draw a card. You can only activate it if you have exactly 7 in your hand. Otherwise, it taps for a colorless. I've played with it. I've played against it. It's not nearly as good anymore as what it used to be. People have these memories of playing Keeper and The Deck and Drago and stuff like that. 1v1 back in the old days. You boomerang their island, you know, and you answer one threat with one card and stay at 7 and draw an extra every single time and just make a land drop. And the game just doesn't work like that anymore, and it certainly doesn't work like that in a multiplayer format besides. And yet it would be like technically an auto-include in every single deck, and it's $1,000, and everyone would proxy it or not, and it would like literally never draw you an extra card during the full duration of the average game, but people would still play it anyway. It's just like a hornet's nest that's not worth getting into. Maybe the ubiquity of it can put it here, because it's a terrible argument to ban a card just because it's expensive. That's a bad argument, right? You're trying to make a good game. You're not trying to police what things cost. But I don't think I have to pull in the money thing. I think it would be the most ubiquitous card ever, right? And it would hardly ever do what it's supposed to do because people, they don't know. Anyway, no shot. Unbanning library is a great way to make demand for printers skyrocket. Yeah, Xerox is making bank. You're talking about the Angels, probably know the one next to Hullbreacher, yeah. I think I'm ready to say that anything else is maybe possibly it could happen. Some of these are really unlikely, but I don't know if they're quite this unlikely. What's the most unlikely after the above? Probably Bargain, I would say. I still think Bargain is no shot. It's an enchantment for 6. Skip your draw step, so a huge downside, right? Pay 1 life, draw a card. You can use it as many times as you want. You're on a 40 life format, draw 20, instantly win the game. It's ad nauseum, only you don't have to build your deck. You don't have to build your entire deck in a special way like you do with ad nauseum. You just put Yawgmoth's Will in, and then you win. It's actually better than Grizzlebrand, which is kind of crazy. In general, you hate that real Magic is expensive, but you kind of feel like money shouldn't decide a card's playability. It should just be wholly within the context of the game. You're just trying to make the best decisions for the rules of the game. You know, if tomorrow they reprinted some other card, like let's say there's some card that's $50 and you decided that there should be no card over 50, so you just ban every card over 50. If they reprint something, it goes off the ban list. That's weird, right? And then everyone tries to buy it and it goes up to 51 and then it's banned again. You have Magic players watching like the stock market of Magic cards. Oh, it's 49, it's unbanned again, I can play it in this tournament. It's just silly. Like, it wouldn't work out. Kind of a bad reason. Anyway, speaking of Grizzlebrand, no shot. Have 40 life to draw infinite cards, yeah, probably not. What's the easiest one? Anybody have a easy unban? Bracket 3 issues maybe. Don't, but I would jam it and poison. What's the easiest unban on this entire list? That's maybe not a difficult question. I think it's Sway of the Stars. The easiest one. Where nothing would change whatsoever is Sway of the Stars. They unbanned Worldfire, and 0 people worldwide played it. It's just, it does nothing. Sway of the Stars costs, what, 10? And restarts the game. Like, everyone shuffles everything up, you draw a new opening hand, and your life total becomes 7. Like, at that point, just play another game for real, though, you know? Like, it... Sway of the Stars, if they unban it, actually nothing will happen. It's even safer than Coalition Victory. And they tried it out with Worldfire. They unbanned that and nothing happened. So I think we can fairly say, yeah, Sway of the Stars. Nothing will happen. No one will play it. If somebody does, cool, it'll be funny, you know, but that's it. The next easiest one. Panoptic Mirror, maybe. Braids, maybe. Gifts Ungiven, maybe. Honestly, Rofalos, maybe. Araya. Play costs way too much for what it does. I mean, yeah. But it also doesn't do anything. If you're paying 10, you should simply win, right? Just win. Prime Time, in your opinion? Panoptic Mirror right behind it? I think this might no longer be in order. But Panoptic Mirror, easy unban. This card costs 5. It is the second most destroyable type of permanent ever, which is an artifact. The most destroyable type of permanent is an artifact creature. Because every single color can trivially destroy artifact creatures. Just artifact, black has some trouble with that, but every other color does that by accident. Even blue does that nowadays. Anyway, costs 5. And then you pay X and imprint, so you remove the card from your hand and put it under it. And then that whatever sorcery you put underneath there automatically goes off all of your upkeeps. Each of your upkeeps for the rest of the game until someone kills it, right? People are like, yeah, but people are going to take infinite turns with Panoptic Mirror. I don't think they are. The cheapest infinite turn card costs 5, which means you are now paying 10 mana, 5 to cast it, and then 5 to imprint it, and then you're imprinting the card underneath it, and then 3 30-year-olds have to have $100 between them. Somebody has to have one way of killing that in 3 entire players' turns until it becomes your turn, and then, okay, it goes off and you start and you win the game after that. I feel like pay 10, exile a card from your hand, pass the turn, everyone else goes, on your upkeep you win. We already have cards that do that. We have Mortal Kombat. We have Test of Endurance. We have whatever it is, Game of Chance, or whatever the name is. We have a whole cycle of 4 mana cards that say on your upkeep win the game if some condition is met. And they're almost never played. Panoptic Mirror is essentially the same thing except way more expensive, and it's 2 cards instead of 1. I just don't see the issue. And if someone destroys it, you lose your extra turn card. It's exiled forever. You're actually down a card from it because it has imprint. I think you unban it easily. There will be some like low power level tables with really annoying people that might play it against their friends who don't run any removal, and they might not enjoy that. So maybe that's a problem, but it would be a GC, so. Is the imprint instant speed? Yes. So you can just wait. until the end of somebody's turn and then put it underneath it. You know, which means you probably won't lose your card you're trying to imprint. Unless the way they were going to interact was an instant, in which case you still probably will, right? Because they'll respond. But it's not full tap out on your turn. Half of your mana stays untapped, so there is that. I don't want to undersell Panoptic Mirror, but I think it's an easy unban. I don't even think it's a bracket 3 issue. I think bracket 3 can perfectly well handle it. And sometimes it might not, and then you lose. Okay. Biorhythm, easy unban. Costs 8. It's an 8 mana green card sorcery. Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. Updated to be they. Not necessarily because it's more politically correct. It's actually because they is fewer letters than he or she, and they want to fit more bullshit text on all their cards. It's like 50-50. So I'm fine with it. Anyway, why is this card banned? I actually don't know. This card's a big, funny commander card. It's like one of the poster children for the commander format. 8 mana sorcery that makes everybody's life total become the number of creatures they control. That's like a quintessential commander sounding card. Like, it just sounds funny. Can you play this and then tap mana 9 through 12 and also Wrath of God? And do you have one indestructible creature and everyone else loses? Yeah. I don't know. You have 12 mana. You can do what you want with it. That's fine. Typically what Biorhythm does, you cast it, your opponents collectively lose about 100 life, and then you swing for the win. You could have done that with a Craterhoof that costs the same amount. I don't see the issue. Is Biorhythm even good anymore? I disagree with the vocabulary of your question. Biorhythm was never good. It wasn't even good when it was banned. I was there, Gandalf. No one played this shit. It sucked. You played it like an enchantment? Oh, where it was just chilling and you gained life for each creature you played? Neat. Gifts Ungiven. The easiest, the snap easiest. This is actually, Gifts Ungiven, besides the possible exception of this one, is the first card they could unban that people would actually play. Because ain't no one playing any of this crap. But Gifts Ungiven would see play. But it's still a very easy unban. Gifts Ungiven is an instant for 4, splashable. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names. Your opponent chooses 2 of them. The 2 chosen go to the graveyard, the rest go into your hand. Gifts Ungiven has exactly 3 use cases. Use case number 1. You search for 4 cards with different names, whose effects are such that it doesn't matter which 2 your opponent chooses, you always get the 2 you want. You can consider it like card 1 I want, card 2 I want, regrowth, Eternal Witness. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you pick, I'm going to get him anyway, right? So that's use case number 1. You present your opponent a false choice. They pick 2, usually the 2 where you have to jump through more hoops to get them in your hand, and you get the 2 cards you wanted. Okay, that's use case 1. Use case 2 is you purposefully only search for 2 cards instead of 4. And then your opponent has to choose those 2 and they go to their graveyard. And none go to your hand. But you didn't want them in your hand. You wanted them in the graveyard. It's a double entomb for 4 instead of 1. And that's good. Those are going to be the 2 main use conditions for Gifts Ungiven if it gets unbanned, is those 2 things. The third way is a bad player who may or may not have built their deck, casts Gifts Ungiven at the end of someone's turn, has no clue what they're even trying to search for, and pages through their deck over and over looking through the same section, pulling a card out, thinking about it, like a man falling asleep in bed rereading the same page of a book they're trying to finish. And everyone at the table starts taking out their phones and ordering Chinese food and stuff. But, you know, c'est la vie. Easy unban. Intuition is arguably better, but I don't think so. Maybe just because it's cheaper. Searching for 4 cards in the 100-card singleton format seems like it goes against a foundational part of the format. You're not sure about an easy unban. Oh, okay. Maybe not an easy unban for Loki Liesmith. What foundational part of the game would that be? As I wait for your response, I'm going to move on to the next one. What's the next easiest one? Keep in mind that I'm not usually very judgmental, but I am judgmental about weirdos who don't like tutors in Commander. They think it goes against the spirit of Singleton, but they're just wrong. They're weirdos. There were tons of Singleton formats, Rainbow Stairwell, 250 card, Dan Gray stuff. Tutors have been a part of Singleton since the very beginning, and a beloved part. A necessary part, even. Although, more necessary back then because they just didn't print multiples of the same cards enough, perhaps. Braids, put it as a game changer and or consider it mass land destruction so it's auto 3 or 4. Oh yeah, Braids. Easy. Turgrid is already on the list, and Turgrid is better. Like, Turgrid is better than Braids. Here's what's going to happen. If you play Braids as your commander, you're going to go land. Pass. Turn 2. Swamp, Dark Ritual, Braids. Someone taps a Plains and swords it, and then you don't do anything for the next 20 minutes. Okay? Or you play Braids, and everybody sacks a land every turn, and they don't know how to play against it, so they keep playing lands, and they keep getting destroyed. And you win, and everyone hates it, and they complain, and then they refuse to play against it again. I mean, it's just a different Turgrid, except it costs 4. Now, that's as a commander. In the 99, that's a different story. Do people play smokestacks anymore? If they don't, I don't know that they would play Braids, but it is a creature. There's a lot more synergies there. Anyway, I think you could unban it just because it's already going to be rule zeroed in the same way that Turgrid is rule zeroed, right? Or people are like, finally, I can play Braids. They unbanned it. And then they go to their bracket 2 pod, and their friends are like, we don't want to play against that. Oh, okay. Well, it's unbanned now. Yeah, I don't care. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, you got an ad. You'd argue the tutors are cool, but one card being 4 tutors is a bit much. Well, you got to pay for it. It costs 4. It costs as much as 4 tutors. I think it's fair. Crow. Thanks for the tier 1 for 8 months. I appreciate it. TYVM. I wonder if is Gifts Ungiven even the best tutor if it gets unbanned? The answer is no. Demonic Tutor is still better. Vampiric Tutor is still better. Yeah, I guess, to me, maybe I'm thinking of it too classically, but if they unban Gifts Ungiven, is it the best tutor? No. And that, to me, that's damning. Gifts Ungiven would go in every one of your Dimir decks for sure. Yeah, and it should. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. I'd put it in my Dimir deck as well. I'm going to say bracket 3 issue maybe. And we'll do these in order of how easy it would be to unban them. This one technically goes on the end because they said they would. They just said they would. So I'll do it in order. This is the most unbannable, least unbannable on each. Thing is, you can play it and all the other tutors. In bracket 4, yeah. Not in bracket 3. You got to make your choice in bracket 3. And it would be a game changer because that's what they said. Would I play it and all the other tutors? Yeah. Of course. But that's the kind of commander I like to play. This card actually sucks. Like Arayo. I'm going to put it in poison. I've played against an Arayo deck. It wasn't actually good. It's just kind of annoying. It's almost like a signpost ban. No one would really play it. Truly, it's not even good. Heywoah is kind of like braids, except blue. The thing that you're playing as a commander that you kind of dump your hand to put out, and then someone deals with it, and turns out your deck sucks. I don't know. I bet you could build a stronger one nowadays than when we tooled it up. But I don't know why you would want to risk that. Flash. No shot. I forgot about Flash. No shot. Oh yeah, I should explain these. I stopped explaining them for the Magic people, pardon me. Flash. It costs 2. Blue card, okay? Splashable. Instant. Put a creature from your hand on the battlefield. Then pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, it just dies. That's actually insane. And not just because of Mr. Poop, the green creature, who, when he dies, you search for a win condition and instantly win the game. Which is what they did with it. But it's one of those Tinker kind of cards where every year the game is out, they print more and more random shit that just makes this card even better and this card even better, and they don't want to limit their design space. Hulk Flash was simply the best deck in CEDH. It was the best thing to be doing. And this was their only ban made explicitly for CEDH. And they said we're only going to do this once, but Commander CEDH is essentially solved. And so we're going to ban Flash because everyone hates it and the format's solved. And then everything was fine, you know. Protean Hulk, SG Arcade. One of his nicknames when Protean Hulk was first printed, one of his nicknames was Mr. Poop. Because he kind of looks like a shit demon. And he was pretty good in Legacy and Vintage as well. For exactly 1 week, if I recall. Maybe 2. Next easiest. I mean, this one wouldn't be easy. I'm just putting it in. I think it's poison. And that's easy, no shot. Now it's hard. Now it's getting hard. The next easiest one to unban is Rathalos. Next easiest one to unban is Rathalos. This guy is an elf legend. 2/1 for double green. What does he do? Taps to add a green mana for each forest you control. That's not basic forest, unless it's been Oracle texted. Just forest. Cost 2. So he taps for probably 2 immediately, and taps for 3 on your next turn when you play a third forest, if he's your commander. You wouldn't play him as your commander. You would put him in the 99 of some gross-ass, you know, elf deck, right? And he would end up being elf number 5 that goes infinite with everything that untaps, right? Whatever, Staff of Domination, or whatever way that you're getting infinite mana by untapping some creature. He would be fine. Yeah, I don't even think he wouldn't even be that good as the mono green commander. Like, you would probably want a different one, even. But they would just put him in the 99, and he's Mr. Combos with everything, creates a billion mana, number 7, right? It's fine. I think you could do that. You could unban him. He's a 2-1. They already do this in a bunch of ways. He's maybe the best one, arguably. Cares about forest. You could play him in 3-color decks if you play like Tree Elms and a bunch of duels and stuff. He'd be really good. I'm putting him up here in the issue maybe category. But he could be pretty unbannable and it would mostly be fine. I believe he's on the reserve list as a rare from Urza's, or as a particular rare from Urza's. So if he ever got unbanned, he would be like $500 probably. But here we are. What's the next easiest? We're starting to get to ones where I don't know if any of them should be unbanned. Well, let's tackle these two. Let's tackle these two because they have to do with each other. Iona, Shield of Emeria, and Sundering Titan. They're not in this bracket, I'm just putting them here to talk about them. These two are brothers on the ban list. Iona is on the ban list because they don't want to punish a player just because they're not rich. They don't want to punish you just because you're poor. And if you're playing a monocolor deck, you stop being able to play the game when Iona lands. And none of your opponents really feel like removing it if it's naming your color, so you just can't play Magic anymore. If you were rich and had a 2-color deck or a 3-color deck or a 4-color deck, you could keep playing and it would be fine. But maybe you're on a budget, and so you can't play. You're done. Having played when Iona was legal, you had to, if you were playing a monocolor deck, you had to play 4 or 5 of the worst 7-mana instants that were colorless that exiled a permanent you've ever seen. So that you wouldn't be locked out of the game permanently if somebody happened to have an Iona. Which in my metagame was pretty common. And so to protect the poor players from too much unfairness, Iona stays banned. And to protect the rich players from suffering from success, see, we have the other part of the coin here, Sundering Titan. I didn't talk about what Iona costs, right? The mana cost or the power and toughness, because that doesn't matter. You don't play Iona, like you don't cast her. You put her on the battlefield from the graveyard. You reanimate or whatever. Sundering Titan, same thing. Cost 8. It's like a 7-11. I think it's a 7-11 split for 8. But anyway, when it enters or leaves the battlefield, not dies, but leaves the battlefield, choose a land of each basic land type and destroy those lands. All 5. So it enters, gets high marketed right away, you destroy 10 lands. 2 of each basic land type. And so if there's somebody in the table that has a 5-color deck, they lose all of their lands and everyone else is fine, right? If you're rich and you have a bunch of dual lands, you get Armageddoned, you know, and everyone else is fine, you just lose the game. And so these two essentially lock one of the 4 people or more out of the game entirely. Because either they're rich and have dual lands for Sundering Titan, or they're poor and they have 1 color for Iona. But both of them are bullshit and require a whole bunch of building around it. And produce essentially kind of miserable experiences for cheating them into play. And this one flickering them a million times, but this one just putting it out. So I think they're poison. I think it's possible that they unban these. I think they could do it. I think they've forgotten. Oh, it wasn't so bad. Nobody played with Iona. She costs 9, as if anyone would ever hardcast her, ever, right? Sundering Titan, whatever, you know, it's fine. He cost 8. I think they forgot. But Anyway, they could do it. I really don't think they should. I think it's box office poison, but they could. I think they might do it. There's a lot of new people floating around that don't remember the old times. But then again, you could say to me, hey, whoa, you were playing Commander in 2010. Fucking, you know, it's been a long time since Primeval Titan has been in Commander. Cards are way better now. People's decks are way better now. There's no tuck rule for the Commander anymore. Blah, 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 right? All these boomer cards, they would show up if we unbanned them and nothing would happen. It's fine. Sylvan Primordial and Prime Time and Reoccurring Nightmare or whatever. And maybe you're right. I don't think so, but maybe you're right. What's the tuck rule for Commander? It used to be the case that your Commander would only go back to the command zone if it was put into a graveyard or exile. Only graveyard exile. And so every single blue deck had Hinder from Kamigawa, 3 mana counter target spell, put it on the top or bottom of an opponent's library. You'd play, Commander was such that you would play all of the cards that would either counter something and put it on the bottom, Terminus, put all creatures on the bottom, you know, cards like that. What is it? Spell Crumple, I think was one of them. And so when somebody had their Commander out, you could kill it, but put it on the bottom of their library, and it wouldn't go to the command zone, and then that's it. They would never get, they would basically never get it back again. That was the tuck rule. And then later on, they changed it so that if it would move from one zone to any other zone, then it gets back into the command zone. But for a while, that was the metagame of Commander, was like, hey, you better put high market in every single Commander deck, just in case someone tries to tuck rule your Commander so you can sacrifice it in response. Anyway, that was the olden days. The Burglar, thanks for the $2 on YouTube. Would you have a banned as Commander list? Maybe. Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense. Something being a Commander is so different than it being in the deck. It's so different, right? Like, what's the difference between Iona as a Commander and Iona in the 99? Well, it's the difference between a turn 3 Iona and a turn 13 Iona. Grizzlebrand as a Commander might not even be good because he's just so expensive, right? But putting him in the deck is crazy, you know. Emrakul as a Commander versus in the deck, right? It's so different. They almost did. They went halfway, didn't they? They put Commanders on the Game Changer list, right? Isn't Commanders like Winona, the stupid bullshit ninjutsu one, you know, stuff like that? They had like 5, I think, on the brackets. Or in the Game Changer list, I mean. Isn't putting Commanders on the Game Changer list kind of like banned as Commander? A little bit. You can't play Game Changers in bracket 1 and 2. So they are banned as Commander, kinda, in those brackets. And 3, it chews into one of your Game Changers. They almost kinda have it a little bit. That being said, what problem are you solving? What is the problem that you are solving by inventing an entire new, now a 3rd ban list? We essentially have 2 ban lists. We have the real ban list, and we have Game Changers, which are the soft ban list. And then we have the saltiest cards page on EDH Rec, which is really another soft ban list. Really, I guess we have 3 ban lists right now. We have a ban list, a soft ban list, and another soft ban list. Because of social pressure. So what problem were we solving by inventing a banned as commander, a fourth one? GW sent you a $10 Edu voucher code today. Feels Goodman? Nice. Your man, Dank. Not bad. What's weird about that is Yuriko is a precon and now she's a banned commander in tier 2. Yes. But precons is one of the ways that they introduce new cards. And Yuriko is crazy. Not necessarily how it's built in the precon, but it is crazy. Truly a mistake. Commander Ninjutsu. Anyway, who would you put on the banned as commander list? And then take off the normal banned list? Because to me, that's what you have to sell me on. I'm not against banned as commander. I'm just wondering what problem it's solving. And to me, the problem it's solving is you think there's a commander that's not okay, but in the 99 it is okay. That's already banned or something like that. Or maybe you think there's a bunch of them that could be fixed that way. 2 people smashed the door and threw a Molotov cocktail at your local game store? Why? I guess that's an obvious question that you probably don't know the answer to. I'm sorry to hear that. At least everyone's okay. And no one's hurt. What a crazy time to be alive, right? That's your clever way of trying to segue into Leovold? Okay. Probably lost a double turn. Yeah, maybe. Well, I will continue my old guy, I have played this and played against it talk. With so many of these. I've played against or with all of these so far. Not Trade Secrets, not Falling Star. Every other one. Yeah. Even Shahrazad. And so I will continue that with Leovold. I played Leovold in Legacy. I played this guy in Checkpile / Brainstorm Autopilot / what was the name? There's a bunch of different names for this stupid shardless bug. Deathrite Shaman, good stuff, no thought, head empty, only to draw 3. Anyway, Leovold in Legacy, I've played against it in Commander a little bit before it was banned. Mostly in Legacy, 1v1. And I think Leovold is worse in 1v1. He's more oppressive in 1v1, I think. Well, maybe not. You can beat a Leovold on the table. It's just extremely annoying, and you have to feed your opponent cards like he's Homer Simpson in hell. Leovold at a commander table is just... They somehow managed to make a more annoying Narset Parter Veils. Like, they went into the science factory. They went to Cape Canaveral, and they're like, we got to develop something more annoying than Narset Parter Veils to wheel into. I know. We'll make Leovold. Cancer Poison. Boy, I sure liked playing with it in Legacy. Total Poison in Commander. I don't think they would do this. I think it's too... They remember. I think they remember how miserable this card is. Wait a minute. What's happening? He's slipping. Would he... Don't, but I would jam it? Does he go into don't, but I would jam it? Does he slide into... I'm a Temur, or I'm a Sultai mage after all. These are my colors. I played him in Legacy back in the day. No, I don't think so. I respect my opponents too much, I think. I don't play Narset now. Each opponent can't draw more than one card each turn. I don't want people to hate me. I still do want my opponents to have a little fun during games. I don't want my opponents to have actually no fun. I feel strongly about that. It is still a casual, socially focused format after all. And so I don't think I would play Leovold, because I don't play Narset now, and some other stuff, yeah. Poison. I could see them maybe they might do it. It's not no shot. But they definitely shouldn't. Sorry, Burglar. They definitely should not. What's next? Speaking of the... Oh, here we go. Another unbelievably miserable card to play against. When we finally get the obituary of whatever game designer wrote this card, I'm sure they did a lot of good in their whole life. As far as I'm concerned, we've broken even. Hullbreacher is... What a hateful card. It's right up there with Opposition Agent, although it's worse. This card is worse. What does Hullbreacher do? Flash for 3, splashable. If an opponent would play Magic, instead they don't, and you get a Black Lotus. And then it stays out so that if anyone else would like to play Magic, you can't. Instead, I get Black Lotuses, and they just keep appearing like you're copying cheese in Skyrim over and over. Leovold kind of the same way. You don't get a Black Lotus every time. It's just that only you get to have fun. Your opponents can't. This one is both. I don't think they would do it. It might even be a no shot. I'm not sure, but we'll see. It's sort of like the next evolution of Notion Thief, really. Except cheaper and better, and gives you Black Lotuses instead of cards. And monocolor instead of 2-color. Blah, what a horrible card. Alright, anyway. Some people just want to see the world burn. No, the person playing Hullbreacher does not want to see the world burn. They're not looking outside. They're looking in a mirror. Because they only care about themselves. Got him. Sigvald plays Hullbreacher. And Leovold. These are Sigvald cards. Anyway, next. Maybe your Reoccurring Nightmare. I could see them doing this one. This is like more likely than all those other ones. Recurring Nightmare costs 3. Sacrifice it's an enchantment, so it sits out. Sacrifice a creature and return Reoccurring Nightmare from the battlefield to your hand. Both of these are costs for its activated ability. And the ability is put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. And you can only play this ability as a sorcery, not as an instant. This is banned for 2 reasons. One, because after you have a Reoccurring Nightmare and 1 creature in your graveyard, and 1 in play, you just kind of cast Reoccurring Nightmare 3 times a turn for the next 45 minutes until either you win or you lose or whatever. You just cast Reoccurring Nightmare 45 times for the rest of your whole life. Win or lose, you just do it. That's the loop. And the weird part about Recurring Nightmare is it's really hard to interact with in ways that you wouldn't know unless you had really in-depth knowledge of the rules. So like you cast Reoccurring Nightmare. No one has, after it resolves, you have priority to activate it first. And as part of activating it, you both sack the creature and return it to your hand. There's never actually a period of time, like your opponent has a Nature's Claim, right? 1 green, destroy target artifact enchantment. They have the answer to this enchantment in their hand, instant speed. There's never an opportunity for them to put that card on the stack, ever. It's either in your hand or they don't have priority, which is awkward. Like, that's weird in ways that are strange. Now, there could be triggers and stuff happening and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it has some rules, finicky stuff to it. It's hard to interact with. It means that for the rest of your whole life, you just keep casting it. But I could see them do it. I don't think they should, but I could see them do it. If they did, I would jam it. I would jam this card. I would immediately play Recurring Nightmare. Throw it the fuck in. What's that? Cast the same spell for the next 40 minutes over and over? Yeah, sign me up. I'm in. Not a downside, that's an upside. What's it going for right now? Let's look. Let's look. TCG player. Recurring Nightmare. I spelled it wrong. $61. Right now it is going for $61 lightly played. 71 is the next cheapest lightly played. The next one is 100. There is 0 near mints. 0 near mint. Costs less than Ancient Copper Dragon. Yeah, easy. And it reanimates Ancient Copper Dragon too. Not bad. They have some video of the 2 people doing it. Oh, the Molotov cocktail guys. Really crazy. The owners are great people in the community. I'm glad you got video of it. Maybe you can find out who did it. You think it will all turn out okay, but sorry to vent during the Magic Talk. No, that's a big deal. Man, that sounds like the job for some sort of police, right? Like, what's the motive? Why would they do that? Could they come back in the future? I don't think you just randomly throw Molotov cocktails. I think you do that when you specifically don't like someone or a business, or I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need answering. I'm glad you got it on video. Okay, we're running out of free spaces here. You'd say Mafia, but maybe you're too Italian pilled. Well, I guess it depends on where Lane Clark lives. I guess it depends on where they live, right? Because me, I wasn't thinking Mafia, but I live in Wisconsin, so it's like not really a concern here. Man, Upheaval is so fucking miserable. We just, like, the top of Poison. Don't do this. Ontario, okay. Oh wait, this has to be lowest and highest. So the top of Poison is the most poisonous cards. I think this is it. Hullbreacher number 1, Iona, Sundering, Leovold, Upheaval. Return all permanents to their owner's hands. Costs like 6 or something. What you do with this card is you float 20 and then cast Upheaval to return all permanents, including land, to everyone's hand. And then you redeploy a bunch of stuff, go, and then they can play 1 land. It's like, this card is like the most giga Cyclonic Rift ever, except Cyclonic Rift, it doesn't target lands, it's soft. It's got an airbag in there, right? It's like, don't worry, you can still replay all your cards. I don't even screw with your lands. That's Cyclonic Rift. Upheaval is like, fuck you, you're on turn 1. Now you discard 10 cards and the game's over. It's Giga Rift. I mean, it's sorcery instead of instant, so there is that, but... Primeval Titan. I can't remember what this one's called, actually. The blue-green Seedborn Muse. Disciple of Krufix, I think. Sylvan Primordial. Golos Tireless General. This fucking thing and Emrakul the Aeon's Torn are the only ones left. The most unbannable one out of all these, to me, I don't even think it's really that close. It's Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. The most unbannable one. The least chance of being problematic out of all 6 of these cards is Emrakul Daddy-O. She is a 15/15 for 15. Can't be countered. Protection from colored spells. Flying. Annihilator 6. When you cast her, take an extra turn. That's actually, what I just said, that's the reason why this card is good. Everything else, 15/15, flying, protection from this and that, Annihilator 6, none of that stuff means shit. It's because you get a triggered ability extra turn when you cast it. That's why this card is so good. Everything else is kind of whatever. Or for sneak attack players. Ugh. I don't know, man. If you get 15 mana, you gotta win somehow. And Annihilator 6 counts for mana denial, because their definition of mana denial is blows up 4 or more land. So you can't play this in anything, 3, I guess? Not even, I don't think you can even play mana denial in 3, can you? Right? I might have to check the tapes. Checking tapes, please. Mana denial. No mass land denial is in bracket 3. And the way they define mass land denial, or whatever I just said, whatever the shit I just said. No mass land denial. They define that as 4 or more. Emrakul has Annihilator 6, so you can't play it even in 3. 4 only. In which case, yeah, I don't think it's an easy unban though. But I would jam it. I would jam this fucking card. I would play Emrakul so fucking fast. Can you actually imagine a format bold, powerful enough to allow us to play with Emrakul? Jesus. That is really super. Anyway, don't do it, but if you did, I'm jamming this card. I'm playing it immediately. Easy. Easy game, easy life. Next, most likely we have... Oops, my turns accidentally tick a half an hour. And casuals will not ever stop putting it in decks where it doesn't belong. Golos, not only the best 5-color commander, as in, like, the one... If you think a lot of people play Atraxa now, she ain't got nothing on Golos. Not only is he generically simply the best commander for 5-color, he is better than 95% of all commanders regardless of their colors. If you have a mono red deck, on average, and just take the commander out and put Golos in, with one the world tree in there, better deck. Just better. And he was starting to become completely ubiquitous, as in the stats were staggering and they were never slowing down. Everyone was just, every month, another million people would make a Golos deck, or 2, or 3, or 4. His ubiquity was the problem. Don't, but I would jam it. They were correct to ban it. They were right. It would still do that. It would possibly even be worse now. People are better at building commander decks now. They know more. There's more content about them. I think Golos would come back even stronger than before and start to eclipse entire colors in the number of people who would just play him. And one of those people would be me. I would play him, because I played him before, and then he was banned, rightfully, and I was sad. And if they unbanned him, it would be wrong and a mistake to do it, and I would immediately play a Golos deck. I would just put it right back together, with some new treats that have gotten printed in the last few years. He's half of a Primeval Titan in the command zone. That's insane. He's also generically the best, like, 43 land style deck commander ever. So good. As a matter of fact, I have 4 commander decks right now. If they unbanned Golos, I think I would just have Golos be the commander of all 4 of them, because they would be better. Like Glarb. Glarb is pretty good, but Golos is better. For what I was doing with Glarb, which is making a lands deck. 6? I mean, 6 is cool. He retraces stuff from the graveyard, but Golos is better. I would probably play that instead. Garth is really specific because, you know, I make Black Lotuses by tapping him and stuff, and there's some combos in there that really want you to have Garth. But it's also a flicker deck, and I could flicker Golos instead of Garth, so yeah, Golos would be the commander of that one. And finally, I have an equipment deck, and Golos finally would not be a good commander for the equipment deck that I have, because he doesn't really interact with equipment at all. So I would have 3 Golos decks and then an equipment one. Yeah, don't do it, but I'm jamming it instantly if you do. They could do it. This thing, either in poison or no shot. I'm thinking actually no shot. They hate this card. Parallax, Orrery, what is this thing called again? I can't remember the name of the card. It was from Kaladesh, I know that. I would actually put it here, though. And put it here. Next up, well, I can't put it off anymore. Yeah, all right. Out of these 3, it's clearly prime time. It would be the least problematic among those to unban. Paradox Engine, that's it. There it is. Arrested a Waffle House. You did it. Yeah, that's the one. All right. Prime time is, I don't think it's poison, but it's definitely don't. It's do not. Primetime would probably be worse than Reoccurring Nightmare. It would be worse than Emrakul. I think Golos... I'm not even sure. These are both so potentially bad. I think there are people who know. There are people who know about Primetime, and there are people who just don't. They don't know. And I hope they don't have to learn. But if they make the mistake of unbanning him, I am fucking jamming this guy. I would probably take apart an entire commander deck. There would be no reason to have my third commander deck. It would have no reason to exist anymore. Because now I have Primeval Titan. And so there is no reason ever to be running a deck that does not contain green. I can't even imagine being in a mind state where you can play Primetime and you choose not to. That doesn't make any sense to me. Who is this Mr. Time, and what is he the Primarch of? He's the Primarch of you playing all the Magic and everyone else being in the Stone Age, monkeys swinging bones at skulls like at the start of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then they see the monolith and you jump cut to Jupiter. That's Primetime. Okay, what does he do? He's a 6/6 trample for 6. Sometimes you even cast him, right? So the cost is relevant. When he enters, search your library for 2 lands, put him out. Not basic, not, whatever. Any 2 lands. Also, when he attacks, search your library for 2 lands, put him out. Tapped. So let's pretend he does not have haste. Let's talk about the worst it could possibly, like the lowest floor. The weakest Primetime could ever do is resolve, enter, and instantly get killed by someone in some way where he's exiled, like a path to exile. He's gone, right? So he enters the battlefield, this game changer, and you search your library for 2 game changers. Field of the Dead, Gaia's Cradle, right? And so you've cast 1 game changer, they immediately killed it, and you're still left with 2 absolute haymaker, take over the game strong resource advantages that are hard to interact with. One of them gives you infinite mana, one of them gives you infinite creatures, roughly. And that's, he had his tiptoe, like, enter the battlefield, and then he's gone and exiled, and he never touches the game again. He put 2 game changers out. And and everybody else is on turn 4, you're on turn 6 now. And then the game moves on. If he gets to attack, or you get to move to your end turn, or flicker him, or something like that, it just snowballs from there. And since he was banned, they haven't been able to stop themselves from printing incredibly overpowered lands every few years. And so over the course of time, he just gets stronger and stronger. He's like Tinker, where they'll just keep printing good artifacts. And sometimes artifacts will get better. Ooh, here's one that's even more. And so the card is just like accidentally gets better. Every once in a while, they print a Field of the Dead. Every once in a while, they just print some ridiculous land. And Primetime miraculously by proxy just gets better. Prime the timing. Primeval Titan. He is awesome. I played him in every deck until they banned him. They were right to ban him. I love him. He's my special little guy. If they made the mistake of unbanning him, I would put him in all of my decks again. I would take apart my non-green deck, because there would be no reason to not play green anymore. If I'm not playing Primetime, you're not really living. And then they would probably end up banning him again because of how problematic he would become. And then I would say goodbye once again and wait another 12 years until everyone forgot. And then they would feed the creature after midnight again, and the gremlins would come back, and we would do the dance again. Anyway, don't do it, but if you do, I'm jamming it. And then we have Sylvan Primordial, which was their attempt at fixing Primeval Titan. And so he costs 7 instead of 6, right? He's more expensive. He has reach instead of trample, more defensive, right? When he enters the battlefield for each opponent, destroy target non-creature permanent that player controls. Okay, non-creature permanent. Usually a land, I'm not going to lie, it's usually land destruction, but it doesn't have to be. It could be an enchantment, an artifact, you know, whatever. Usually a land. Then for each permanent destroyed this way, search your library for a forest card and put it on the battlefield. Now, it has to be a forest card. This is their fix. They're like, okay, Primetime was broken. We fixed him. The problem with Primetime is he could get any land. Sylvan Primordial can only get a forest. Fixed, right? Easy. The problem is you play him and you destroy 3 permanents and you're plus 3 forests. The first time you play him, or bounce him, or sack him and replay him, or so while this one is an overwhelming resource advantage that buries your opponents underneath 12 feet of snow, and and every time he attacks, if that even ends up happening, it's just even more over for them. This guy doesn't bury your opponent in card advantage or card quality or resources. He just fucking blows up their land in the most annoying, aggressive way over and over. He hurts them. Primetime isn't hurting your opponent. He's just jettisoning you to the future. This one shoots your opponent with a gun. It's worse than Primetime. It would be worse to have this thing here, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Don't make me choose. Don't do it. But if you do it, I'm jamming it. And then finally, this guy. Poison. What level of poison? Probably about here. Probably right here for this. What if the unban both? Then I'm playing both. And I'm gonna feel bad about what's gonna happen. I don't think they're ready. Or I'm just old and I'm totally wrong. That's always possible. Anyway, Prophet of Kroof EX. This motherfucker here. You know Seedborn Muse. Maybe you don't if you don't play. Prophet of Kroof EX. Blue-green Simic creature. Everyone's familiar with Simic. What does this do? Well, untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step. So during everybody else's turn, when they're untapping their stuff, you're untapping all your stuff too. Well, just your creatures and lands. Also, you can cast creature cards as though they had flash, which is instant speed. So what this does is, you know how extra turn cards are kind of frowned upon in Commander because they're a time hog. You are hogging the playtime of the average turn cycle, or playing Enchantress, or having 20-minute turns. These are generally poor form because you're hogging the playtime. Prophet of Kroof EX isn't taking one extra turn. For every turn cycle, it's I go and then my 3 opponents go, right? That's the cycle. You take 4 turns every turn cycle. During each opponent's turn, you take an extra turn during their turn. And what you're doing might actually last longer than what they're doing. And so they have to wait for you to finish taking their turn before they can pass. It is the most egregious hog of playtime. Maybe printed on one card, possibly. And it should stay dead. For sure. Hog in the playtime, we're playing the hog time. You be the judge. Why aren't you playing blue-green, you idiot? I know. Yeah, blue-green, Simic. It's just, it's everywhere you want to be. No. Fun and casual. Yeah. No, Problem to Crewfix is for sure super fun. It's very fun in the same way that Ginja Taxes is. Sometimes fun is zero-sum, and sometimes it's not. With Simic cards, usually, you're having fun. Everybody else, well, fuck them. This shit was fire in middle school. They genuinely cannot help themselves from making broken, stupid Simic cards. No, but CJ Busta, you got a taste, didn't you? You played Erixmathides. How did it feel? The power of the sun in the palm of your hand. The power glove. You're wearing the power glove, holding your magic hand with it. How did it feel to be running with 8 megs of power? It felt like how heroin was described to you. Wasn't it so good? We'll convert you yet. We'll convert you into the Sultai Master Race. You see, Simic is all the broken shit, right? But you still want to technically play with black. Step into my office, the Sultai office. People aren't as mad at us as they are at Simic, but we play all of those Simic cards, plus Demonic Tutor, and somehow we get away with it. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to put a Cabal Coffers on the table. And maybe soon I'll be able to Court of Calling by tapping a bunch of Field of the Dead zombies to instant speed put Primeval Titan onto the battlefield and search for Gaia's Cradle and Cabal Coffers. Bleh. Should be good. You think anyone ever got freaky with a Nintendo Power Glove? Yes. Unequivocally. I didn't see it, but I believed it. They just need to make a Sultai commander that makes your heart beat one single time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Look, they're working on it. Hey, if they unban Golos, the best Sultai commander they've ever printed. Golos. They're doing their best. You like big dinosaurs and you cannot lie? Naya Nation, rise up. Naya has very strong, fun commanders. I wish I liked them, actually. You know, Jetmir is so sick. Nayland Balin is so sick. Pants Laza, plus a bunch of the other random Naya dinosaurs are actually good. Like, they're actually good. Voja is super value if you like Elf Tribal, which I don't. Yeah, Naya has some great commanders. I wish I liked them more, I guess. The Cat Warrior Esper Lady coming in FF is looking kind of nice, though. Cat Warrior Esper... Oh, Ystalta. My lady. I don't like her mechanics, but I appreciate the artwork and the character. And I'm happy that people are happy about her. Anyway, as you can see, I'm kind of conservative about this. Easy unban, gifts ungiven, panoptic mirror, biorhythm, sway the stars, and the one they said they would already be unbanning, coalition victory. If they unbanned these, I would play coalition victory immediately. I would just put it directly into a deck, and I would play gifts ungiven immediately. I would not play these. Moving up. Braids, although there might be a bracket 3 issue. Braids and Rofalos. I don't think I would care or much would matter if they unbanned these. Would I play with them? No. Would I expect to ever play against them? Probably not. Up into the don't, but I would jam it if you did tier. Like these are, all of these would be a mistake to unban of varying degrees. Golos would be the biggest mistake. I would immediately essentially remake my Golos deck. And I would replace my other 2 commanders with Golos because he would just be better than them. And that would be boring. And now you see the problem. But yeah, Golos, I would instantly play him. Sylvan Primordial, I would instantly play him. Prime Time, I would instantly play him. Recurring Nightmare, same thing. Because what's better than Primeval Titan? Well, you cast the Primeval Titan, and you sacrifice it to Recurring Nightmare to reanimate Sylvan Primordial. And then you tap 3, put Recurring Nightmare back out, sacrifice Sylvan, and put Primetime back out. I can do that 3 times a turn. Just hot swapping these 2 guys back and forth on the same turn. And then next turn I untap with about 12 more mana than I used to have. Easy. Emrakul, I would put it in... Yeah, I would probably play Emrakul if they unbanned it. I would put it in Glarb, I think. I wouldn't play it in anything else, really. It shuffles, so I don't want that in 6. Yeah, I would probably... Emrakul, I would put it in as it would become the main win condition of Glarb. Instead of Palinchron, I would just cast Emrakul and get infinite turns. Like, cast him, take an extra turn, swing with him, bounce him to my hand, recast him, take an extra turn, and just take infinite turns and swing every other time with him. And that would be the win con. I would be able to probably get rid of a card or 2 from the main deck to do so even. It'd be kind of nice. And I'd have natural mill protection as well, which is kind of nice. Anyway, I would play all 5 of these if they unbanned them. Don't do it. And then these are complete poison. Don't fall into the trap of unbanning them. I think they might do Iona. They might do Sundering Titan. I could see them doing Leovold. Possible. Maybe even Upheaval. I don't see them doing Prophet, or Iraio, or Paradox Engine, or Hull Breacher. But they might do this middle stretch. I really don't want them to. I hope they don't, but they could do it. And then up here, no shot on all this stuff. This is a decent amount, though. And a lot of cards that I would instantly play, and some cards that I would instantly play that would instantly become like staples that you put in before, like you're building a commander deck. You would put in Primeval Titan before you put in Soul Ring even. You know, like it would be that much of a auto-include kind of staple, and that's a concern maybe. But maybe so is Gifts Ungiven, so... Anyway, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I'm hype. What could they do? Oh yeah, I gotta... How much is Coalition Victor? Hold on. How much is Coalition Victor right now? I bet it's... Has it gone up because they said that they were going to unban it? It's $15. It's not bad. What's the foil, though? The foil's $120. I see. Okay, so that's how the speculators are doing it. They're like, we'll speculate on the foil version of this card. I would probably play it in. That thing. Is the kind of chill vibe stuff you're looking forward to, or is it talking about possible commander unbans? Good shit. Hey, thanks a lot. I was like interested in it, and I was thinking about it, and then I watched a Gavin thing, and I'm like, I'll talk to chat about it. Sometimes it's fun. Alright, that's it. If you're going to Adepticon, bring commander. Because I sure as hell am. It's happening. We will probably already know the Final Fantasy stuff once Adepticon is happening. And we'll see if something stands out. Could be neat. I don't think we'll get the band update list yet, right? Was it? What did they say? I think they said coming months, something like that. I don't believe it was like a month. You just got your badge in the mail. Nice. Yeah, getting it in the mail, I think, is the way to do it. So you'd have to wait in such a long line when you get there. But it's a new location. It's in Milwaukee now. And they have a lot bigger convention center there, so maybe the line won't be as long. Not sure. Anyway, get up, stretch your feet a little bit. Get yourself a drink. And maybe we'll roll up big robo game. Space Anime 1990X game. For the second half of the stream, and I'll read you guys. Just get read to. Just get read to, you know? Anyway, BRB.